welcome back to the channel Tarot Yogi. I'm Vinit, and today we have another timeless pick a card reading on what makes you hot, what makes you attractive to others. And even before we jump into the reading, I do want to announce that 27th June I will be offering my highly anticipated witchcraft course. So if you're interested in learning witchcraft from me, you can send me an email to get more details, or you can hit me up on Instagram to do the same. And you can do the same if you want a personal reading from me. And do like, share, subscribe, comment, and now let's jump into the reading on what makes you hot. So we have three piles to choose from. Pile number 1, we have our Hermetic Tarot deck. Pile number 2, we have our Tarot of the Witch's Garden. And pile number 3, we have the Alchemistic Woodcut Tarot. So you have an option of these three very interesting occult decks. Take a minute, see what pile is being called to you intuitively. The description box below will have the timestamp for your pile. And again, remember, these are general readings, so please take what resonates, leave the rest. And if you like my style of reading, please like this video, share, subscribe, comment. And if you want to reach out for a personal reading, if you want to learn witchcraft from me, you can definitely send me an email, and I will see you guys in your reading. Thank you. Hello, pile number 1. If you chose the Hermetic Tarot deck, this is your reading on what makes you hot and attractive to others. And even before we start this reading, I do want to announce that 27th June, I will be offering my highly anticipated witchcraft course. So if you're interested in learning witchcraft from me, you can definitely sign up. You can send me an email, or you can reach out on my Instagram to get more details. You can do the same if you want a personal reading from me. And please do like, share, subscribe, and leave your sweet comments. And now let's start the reading on what makes you hot and attractive and irresistible to others. Okay, pile number 1, we have Princess of Swords, we have Four of Wands, we have the Hierophant, Fortitude, Blasted Tower, we have Seven of Wands, Six of Wands, Ten of Swords, and we have the Chariot card. What makes you very hot and attractive to other people is your mind. Firstly, your mind. You're very inquisitive, you're very knowledgeable, and you're very sharp. So, and something about your eyes as well. I think you have a very hypnotic stare. I think people are very transfixed by your eyes. Pile number 1, I would definitely say that over here. Because we do have Medusa on the Princess of Swords card, and we know Medusa is the fixed star alcohol, so you might have some alcohol placements. You might want to check that. 2 degrees sidereal astrology in Taurus and 26 degrees in Western astrology. So see if you have any conjunction or opposition. And my ring light just blinked. And Algol is a trinary star system, and every 2.5 days it goes dim. It sort of blinks. You know, so it's a synchronicity that happened that's really funny. So you have very this Medusa-like energy. You know, it's a very, you look into people's souls. You don't just look into people's souls, you look deep into people's souls. Oftentimes, even a lot of people might not be able to see that depth within themselves. And this is very terrifying to a lot of people, right? Medusa was a very terrifying goddess. So you have that like allure to you, you know? And it's again Kundalini energy. So you're very much in touch with the divine feminine within yourself. And it's very natural for people to want to love. You know, when you're radiating these rays, right? You're almost radiating these alcohol-like rays, because yes, you know, alcohol does get a very bad rep. You know, people say a lot of bad things about it, and I would say a lot of it is true, but the more higher octave of algol is, the divine celestial rays it emits, the very spiritual rays. It's also called the Merlin star. So it has a lot of this Merlin like witch like very powerful energy. So you radiate that, pile number one. So it's very magnetizing. It's very addicting. People are very intoxicated just by your presence or just by looking at you or looking into your eyes. Pile number one, you definitely have that very strong Algol Medusa energy, and yet, and it's very interesting. We have the Taurus card just in the same row, which is Hierophant, and Algol is a star in Taurus, so you could have prominent Taurus placements, but even if you don't, you do embody this very sensual nature of Taurus, right? It's you feel into everything, into all the senses, right? Whether it be a good experience or a bad experience, you live it thoroughly. I wouldn't even say it's a sense of hedonism because that's what people call it to be, but if you're not really living your experiences, if you're living your experiences miserly, that's no way to live, either. So there's a completeness in your experiences, and that's why, you give off this energy as if, and you are, I think you're very whole within yourself, you're very complete. So that's very attractive. And in the middle of that, we have Four of Wands, which is Venus in Aries. Very interesting. And even though Venus and Aries should be debilitated, Venus and Mars, Aries rules over Mars, are lovers. So they have great chemistry and synergy. So anyone and everyone you've ever dated or you've been interested in has been interested in you at some point or another in their life. People are very addicted to you. The very first time they meet you. And it's all this divine energy that you're emitting. So it's definitely very very intoxicating to people, and it makes you very hot. It makes you a very hot commodity, so to speak. Oh yeah. And what is very interesting about the Hierophant in the Hermetic Tarot is he symbolized here by the elephants and the tusk of the elephant, and the symbolism speaks here about how it is through aging and wisdom do the tusks really grow strong and huge of the elephant, right? The ivory tusks. So again, ivory, it's very divine. There's this very celestial energy that you're able to channel into your work, whether it be light or dark. You're very much in control of all that, and you're very much in touch with your own higher self. So you navigate life's challenges very very easily, in simply put, so to speak. It's because you might not even realize how do you even know what you know. You just know, and your heart tells you something and you listen to it. So it's a winning recipe for you, and you win every time because of this, right? Pile number one, and it's you being victorious. That is also what makes you very very hot, right? Everyone wants the most happening thing, right? And I do think you are the most happening thing, even if you're not trying to happen. People are just in awe because, like, I'm at loss of words. It's just this very bewitching, enchanting effect you have on people. Whether you practice glamour magic or not. And I think I would say all of y'all do practicing some form of glamour magic, whether you're doing it consciously or unconsciously over here, right? And it's working. It's definitely hitting hard. And it's very interesting. Again, below the Four of Wands we have the Tower, and Tower is the planetary energy of Mars. So again, I was talking about how Venus and Aries should be debilitated, but since Venus and Mars are lovers, it creates a very synergetic energy. It creates a very harmonious energy. And again, below that we have the Tower card, so it makes sense, right? I would say you're calm, but you still have a very fiery nature to you, and a lot of people, their fire burns outwards. That's why they're so extroverted, but your fire burns inwards. You could have a 12th house sun or an 8th house sun in the water houses. So the illumination is inwards, but the illumination is so much higher than all the external illumination that you still shine so bright, regardless of how boastful other people might be around you or how loud they might be or whatever. You still shine very differently, and people take notice. And this makes you very, very, very hot to a lot of people because you're holding your own, right? You're holding your own, star space in the night sky, so to speak. And there might be a billion stars, but there's only one star, that is you. So and you embody it so effortlessly, so people can't help themselves. By number one, that's what I would say. Yet you have all this power. You're very mature about it. I think that's why even so much power has been given to you. And I think the more experiences you will have, the more tests you will have, it'll just prepare you, you know, so you can be given more power. And again, you have to maintain your purity of character. And it's only because you have been able to maintain the purity of your character that, you're even in this place in the first place, right? So hold your ground and know that there are better ways, especially for you to get what you want. You don't have to use brute force. You don't have to chase. You're a high level magician, sorcerer, witch, by number one, and you need to operate accordingly, right? Seven of Wands, Six of Wands, and Ten of Swords. You find victory even in your loss. So you're never really losing by number one. And I think over the years it has made you very efficient. So you don't really lose anymore. And you propel yourself further. You're taking your so-called demons within you and you're subjugating them and you're making them do your bidding, right? Like a real magician. So it's working. And you're able to even achieve using all these destructive forces within yourself because of this level of mastery that you've earned. You've earned this, right? With all the hard work that you've done. So it's a lot of things, but what it seems from far away is this bright, beautiful light. I think that's the best way I can describe it. And just the way, no matter how faint a star is, right, it still mesmerizes us, right? No matter how far it is, we can still feel the star. And I feel that's what your heat is like, right? That's what makes you really, really hot. It's you emit your light and it reaches anyone and everyone who needs it whenever they need it. It's a very cosmic, divine kind of a light that you emit. So, and I'm really trying to describe your physical attributes, but I'm literally just seeing stars. So I just feel you are made up of stars, and that's why you're so hot. By number one, it's what is fueling the heavens is fueling you too. And I think it's more important for you to understand that. you know Mm. I do think you deal with a lot of things on a day-to-day basis, but again, it's you are on a different level, and the difficulties will be such for you, right? And you might make some enemies, but again, it's not personal. The more you succeed, the more people might want to get into your way, and honestly, it's a test in itself, right? To maintain your purity and to continue to do your best work. So I'm not seeing any issues in the workspace. I would say it's more about, you have a very beautiful sharp mind, but it cuts both ways, right? It can even cut you. So just developing a more gentler way to approach things with yourself would really ease all this anxiety that you might be experiencing as a side effect of having this very hyperactive, beautiful mind by number one. So, and not everyone can see this. Yeah, people might see you get upset, but people don't understand, how deep it runs for you, and I don't think you bother to care to like explain that. But I can feel it, so I'm just saying, you need to be more gentle and kind to yourself, and give yourself the best of your best too, right? Why do you have to give yourself the worst of you? When you're clearly so grand, right? Point number one. There is very strong creative energy over here. You're definitely a creator. And you're supposed to create everything out of nothing, and I do feel things have been that way for you. So you can create everything out of nothing. And yes, your accolades, all those things are obviously making you more attractive, but it's just the glazing, right? It's not the whole cake. You've done the work. It's all these transformations that you've had to put yourself through, right? None of this has been fun, has it? But you did the necessary work, and it's really paying off. By number one. Shuffle some oracle. What makes pile number one hot? Okay, pile number one, we got the cat card, and it reads independent. You are a natural healer. Your intuition is so strong. You don't have to go with the crowd. Life supports you in every way. So I think that's a very clear message. You have to follow your own path. You have to, take where your heart is taking you, and your intuition is razor sharp right now. So use it. Make the most of it. You're supposed to. Your gifts are supposed to be useful for you as well, right? So, and I think with the cat card, there's a lot of emphasis on maintaining your independence, even if you have a tendency to want to merge your souls with everyone. It'll be more beneficial for you to maintain a sense of personal identity in every situation. I think that's a message for you. Your sense of individuality is very, very important. You need to check your first house. You might have a prominent placement of a personal planet on the ascendant. So you might want to look into that as well. And I do think your North Node could be in not the water signs. It could either be in the earth signs. I'm getting strong earth sign, North Node Rahu energy. So Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. I would even say maybe Aries and Leo. You could have your North Node Rahu in any of these. Yeah. Because there's a lot of emphasis on you, on the self, and you sort of being very distinct, and that being a big part of what you're here to do also, but it is also what makes you so attractive and why people find you so hot, because you cannot be cloned, even if people want to clone you. It's just your energy, by number one. It's just who you are. They don't make a lot like you. So I do think that's what makes you really, really hot. Any other messages? That's all I have for pile number one, kind of just general reading. So please take what resonates, leave the rest. And if you like my style of reading, please like the video, share, subscribe, comment. And if you're interested in learning witchcraft from me, you can definitely sign up. The course starts 27th June. And if you're interested in getting a personal reading, you can do the same. And I will see you guys in the next reading. Thank you. Hello, pile number two. If you chose Tarot of the Witch's Garden, this is your reading on what makes you hot and attractive to others. And even before we start this reading, I do want to announce that 27th June, I will be offering my highly anticipated witchcraft course. So if you're interested in learning witchcraft from me, you can definitely sign up. You can send me an email to get more details. You can do the same if you want a personal reading from me. And please do like, share, subscribe. And now let's start the reading on what makes you hot and attractive to others. Okay, pile number two, we have Ten of Cups, we have Knight of Cups, Queen of Swords, Six of Swords, Temperance, Seven of Cups, Eight of Pentacles, Five of Pentacles, and we have Justice. What makes you hot is the fact that you can be very cold. Pile number two, we have the Queen of Swords, and just the whole color scheme and all the cards, it's very cool tone, it's very blue, it's very green, it's very earthy. You could be the water signs, you could be earth signs over here. But there's something very calming and soothing about your energy. And that's why people are very attracted to you. That's why they find you hot. It's because you're so calming and soothing, and it's almost like, drinking hot water. It's almost like drinking cold water on a really, really hot afternoon. The satisfaction you feel, that feels like, that's what you feel like. It's like eating a popsicle on a hot day. I think that's the best way I can say it. It's very calming, it's very soothing. People love it, and I think all your romantic interests right away, start seeing the Ten of Cups with you, which is, their own version of happily ever after. So, people meet you and they have these visions of forever, and you've just met them. So I do think you have that effect, and I think a lot of your romantic suitors might have even, been the first one to like propose. I do think, you're not a chaser. Like people come to you, especially more masculines, because I'm getting a very feminine energy over here. Even if you identify as male, you have this very calming presence. People find you hot because you're very romantic, you're very dreamy. I'm seeing the image of a poet. So, you could, have that very watery nature to you, right? You're very emotional, you're very sensitive, but you might not always show this side of yourself. And what you do show people is your Queen of Swords side, which is, cold, calculated, stay away from me, know your place, kind of an energy that you usually give off to people. But I do think the right people get to see your Knight of Cups side. And it's very interesting because Knight of Cups and Queen of Swords are sort of opposite energies, right? Because Queen of Swords, she cuts through the illusions, and Knight of Cups, he's made up of illusions, and they're facing each other. So I do think there is this duality within you. You could be water or air sign heavy in your birth chart, but you balance it very well. You balance your romantic nature with your, serious nature very well. And that itself makes you more attractive. It makes you more magnetic because you've, again, done this work to integrate this within yourself, and you're always focused on the future, you're always focused on the next thing. You don't dwell a lot in the past. Even though things might have been really difficult for you, I don't even think you really talk about it or even spend a lot of time thinking about it these days, because I do think you're focused on the future, you're focused on, what can you do, where can you go? And I think people find this very, very attractive, that you don't give up. You're very resilient. What makes you hot is the fact that you're so resilient, by number 2. And we have temperance in the center of the reading, and temperance is also called art, which is the art of alchemy, where you're putting together everything that you sort of burnt down to realize that nothing has been lost, and what was burnt down was truly not required in your life. So I do think you have this very wise Sagittarian energy, right? Temperance is the zodiacal card for Sagittarius, so you do have that very zoomed out point of view on things, and you're very good at even taking your aim. You know what to aim for, you have the discernment, and then you have the skill to really get what you want. In a way, I would say you live a double life. There's a version of you people see, which is this very hardworking, very cold, but a leader. A cold, loving leader. But you do have this very soft, feminine side that just wants to love and be loved, and to be nurtured and to nurture. So you carry this duality within yourself very, very well. Pylameter. You're very you're very pragmatic when you need to be. You you're good at, again, cutting out things that are going to create problems in the future, and most people are not like that, right? Most people are not like that. So you deal with things head on. There's something very Martian to you, even though you have this very soft energy. You mean business when you mean business, and people find this very, very hot. How do you wear so many different hats? How can you be so many people in a day, and still keep your composure, right? So it's very attractive to people. You have this very Saturnian energy, I would say. It's it's a quiet kind of a presence, right? But it's a presence. You feel it. Like your gravitational pull is felt, right? People know not to mess around you. I do think this file could be a little more gentler, but you would know best. You're the Queen of Swords, so you know when you have to be ruthless. You know when to be ruthless, right? So you don't forget your lessons. You're very, very responsible. This makes you very, very hot to a lot of people. People are very attracted to your ability to keep your cool in very difficult situations where people would, genuinely lose their cool. You're very stable in those kind of situations as well, and this is very attractive, especially to your romantic suitors. By number 2, I would say that. And I can see that you have been through a lot. You've experienced a lot of darkness. You've suffered. These lessons haven't come easy. This balance hasn't come easy. You didn't get it overnight. I do see that, and I want you to know that only good things are coming for you now, and this is just the beginning. And things will get so good. You wouldn't even believe, and all of this is happening, so the full spectrum of everything there is to know, right? The full spectrum of your life. You're here to experience everything, and there's an actual acceptance and surrender within you for every experience, and therefore you don't stay stuck on things, and that's why you're like a flowing river. You never get muddy within yourself. Your energy feels very clean, and that's what makes you really, really hot. Pile number two. That's what I was trying to get at. Yeah. Shuffle some oracle. Okay, pile number two, we have the puffin card and we have the goose card. The puffin card reads partnership. Accept yourself and your colorful personality. Feel confident about being you. You are a joy bringer. Let your community nourish and protect you. Ask for help. Teamwork will give you best results. So I do think with the puffin card, every suitor that you've ever had has seen you as, their perfect suitor, even if, they were not very perfect themselves, right? But they do see you in this very highlight. They do want to tie you down. And I think you've experienced this. I think everyone you've ever dated, I think things have progressed very, very fast, especially in the beginning, because people just can't get enough of you, and they want to tie you down. So you naturally excite people that way, right? Especially your romantic suitors are coming through. And we have the goose card, which is in knowing. You are a brave traveler, your soul knows the way, be confident and you will achieve your destination. Loyal friends are always with you, don't worry. You are blessed, let yourself fly. And we have two birds, and birds are like known for their inner sonar, right? They always know which way is north. So you have that ability, right? You have that ability to find your true north, right? It's almost like you're tapping into the electromagnetic field of the Earth's atmosphere, and it's taking you north, just like the birds, every time. So you do have a connection to the birds, and follow it, listen to it. They will always guide you. Little birdies, they're your friends. Pile number two. All types of birds, just be open. One type of bird might resonate right now, and a new kind of bird might resonate to you later. You never know. But it is your intuition, it is all this beauty that you carry within yourself, that you have been carrying within yourself. So it's only a matter of time that you reach your destination. And people can tell, you're gonna go far, and I think that's what makes you hot. People want some of that, right? People want you to sort of be a stop. At least, if they can't have you forever, they at least want you to make a stop before you continue on your journey up north, pile number two. Heavy emphasis on your intuition. So listen to your intuition. It's razor sharp right now. It will give you what you want, what you need. It is showing you the way, so listen. Anything else? Yeah, that's all I have for pile number two. Again, it's a general reading, so please take what resonates, leave the rest. And if you like my style of reading, please like the video, share, subscribe, comment. And if you're interested in learning witchcraft from me, if you are interested in learning tarot, if you're interested in getting a personal reading, you can send me an email to get more details, and I will see you guys in the next. Hello, pile number three. If you chose the Alchemistic Woodcut Tarot, this is your reading on what makes you hot and attractive to others. And even before we start this reading, I do want to announce 27th June, I will be offering my highly anticipated witchcraft course. So if you're interested in learning witchcraft from me, you can definitely send me an email, or you can hit me up on Instagram to get more details. And you can do the same if you want a personal reading. And do like, share, subscribe, comment, and let's start the reading on what makes you hot and attractive to others. Okay, pile number three, we have Five of Shekinah, Knight of Mystics, Queen of Mages, Four of Mystics, Knight of Shekinah, Eight of Alchemists, Wheel of Fortune, 10 of Shekinah, Ace of Alchemists. Very interesting deck, very interesting reading as well. We got a fun set of cards. My eyes are going on the Queen of Mages card, and the Queen of Mages is the goddess Babylon. Well, it's not goddess in the biblical sense, but you know, she's a goddess nonetheless. So you have very Babylon-like energy, and I mean Crowley's Babylon, where you know she's very indulgent, she's very hedonistic. You know, she will experience the darkness completely and the light. And Queen of Babylon, you know, she would not say no to anyone. So, and I'm hearing come as you are, so you're very accepting of everyone. And you have this very universal Gaia mother-like energy to you. But it's not a nurturing feminine energy. It's a very seductive, a very wild, a very untamed kind of dark feminine energy that you exude. You know, whether you even be a man or anything on the spectrum. It's this sheer force and sheer will of this power that you exude. That's what makes you hot, you know. And the Eight of Alchemists is a very interesting card. We have a medieval sorcerer, you know, not doing his medieval sorcery and focusing on other things, like a shorty. So you distract people a lot. You're on people's minds all the time. There's something very forbidden about you. I want to say you're infamous. I don't know what you're infamous for, but you do have some infamy, pile number 3, and just know it'll take a special kind of a person to be with someone like you, to really match the energy of Babylon, and only the beast can, you know, Babylon only rides the beast, right? She cannot ride a man. You know, the man will die, right? So you need to just wait if you're single. I don't think a lot of y'all are single, but if you are single, just wait. I think the right person for you is going to be as magical and as unusual as you. But I think a lot of y'all are partnered up here as well. So for it to be a situation. You always make the right decisions. And you fight on the side of the right decisions. You know, there's something very righteous about you. Despite you know, you having this very overindulgent side to you, or at least that's what you give off, right? You give off this very video vixen-like energy, or very playboy-like energy. You know, it's very attractive. It's what people want, right? And you play into that. You know what people like. You know what people want. So you really, what's the word? You know how to play the game with people. You know, it's very seductive, and you know, I feel you are the female spider, and female spiders are always larger than the male spiders, right? It's the female spider who eats the male spider. It's kind of inverted in the spider world, right? It's not a patriarchal, it's more like a matriarchal society that they have. So you do have that mother spider like energy, you know, and people know better not to cross you, right? Mm. You've experienced a lot of tests, you've experienced a lot of initiations. Things haven't been easy for you. But the more you've risen out of your own personal hell, I think the more hot you have gotten. And I think even every heartbreak you've had has directly led to how hot you have gotten. So I do think you've had a few heartbreaks by now, by number three, and that's why you're like really, really hot. And I'm not saying, every time you get a heartbreak, you will get hotter, which you will. I'm just saying that, your heart will stop breaking and you will find the right person, is what I'm trying to say. But till then, your hotness quotient will just be, you know, like a four alarm fire, so to speak. So there is a lot of this crucifixion energy that I'm getting as well. So I don't think people understand you. I don't think people always can see things from your point of view, even though you can see things from their point of view. And this can be a very isolating experience because I do think you're very, very clairvoyant. And I know it's not fun, right? It's not fun to always be the bigger person, but that's what you have to be over here, so to speak, and learn to hold that space, right? So what makes you really hot to people and attractive is you do have this very mature point of view on things. You know what to do. You know what every situation calls for, and you strike exactly where you need to. So there's a level of mastery that you've already achieved, and I do think a lot of people just benefit by you being around them, especially your partners. And it's very interesting. So we have the Queen of Mages and we have the Ace of Alchemists, and it's sort of the opposite energy. The Ace of Alchemists is the Pope as a dragon, and didn't Pope Francis just recently die? I think he did. So again, there's this whole, you know, false gods and false prophets kind of thing going on over here, but I think you're the true prophet, and there are a lot of false prophets, that might seem very righteous, but they're not. But your ways might not always seem righteous, but you are righteous, by number three. I want you to know this, and I think this makes you very, very hard. So I think when people find out your backstory, your lore, they're more intrigued. Because I think what people do is they do put themselves in your shoes, and they think what would they have done, and they probably wouldn't have done the right brave thing to do. They could have probably succumbed and done the wrong thing in the situation. So I think the more people get to know you, the hotter they find you. So you're like a secret magic book that no one knows how to read. But once you start decoding it and it start make you're like a secret magical book that no one knows how to read. But the slowly you start decoding it, the more sense it makes, and that's what it is. People do find you very hot because you're very beautiful and very attractive. But once people get in, right, once people start knowing you, then they definitely don't want to leave. They're very stuck. They want to know more. So you're sort of like a Venus flytrap. Pile number three. You're sort of like a Venus flytrap. That's what I would say. In the best way possible, right? And I saw a very interesting video on YouTube itself, on the shorts. It was, I don't remember the account's name, but the account, they feed these black widow spiders usually to these Venus flytrap plants, and I found it so interesting that no matter how deadly or poisonous a plant or an animal can be, there's always a plant and an animal more deadlier and more poisonous than that, right? Like every shark has a bigger shark that could eat the shark in nature, and you're sort of like the biggest shark, right? Because and even if you might not, you might seem very innocent, right? People might not think this about you, But you do carry these different levels within yourself, right? It's levels. Despite all the crucifixion you have experienced, despite all the slandering, whatever, misunderstandings, people still see the truth. People still see you for who you are and the good human being that you are, and they do see also that fortune always favors you, so you're never really losing. Even if you haven't put through a lot of difficult things, in a way it was a way for you to rack up a lot of good karma because you did the right thing. So I do think when the wheel turns again, you will be getting all the good karma coming to you this time around. So I do think blessings are coming in very, very soon, and as a result, you'll get hotter, more attractive, more richer, right? I do sense a glow up coming in very, very soon, and I think you're already very good looking by number 3. So get ready for that, definitely. But a lot of people want you. You're like a lot of people's desire. A lot of people want you more because it might be sort of a bit of a taboo to have you. You do have this Babylon-like energy to you. So enjoy it. Drink from your cup. Drink from your cup of abominations. Shuffle some marker. Okay, pile number 3, we have the raccoon, we have the lynx, and we have the empty card. So you are a bit of like the empty card. You're like a reflector. You reflect to people what they want to see as a defense mechanism to hide who you truly are. And this is very attractive to people who know you. They find this very, very hot. They're like, how do you do that? And we have the raccoon card, which reads inventor. Decide on what you really want. You have the ingenuity to claim it. Avoid being the trickster and practice integrity. You may have many roles and you can juggle them well. You're a master. You're a pro. So you can take a bit of leeway. Don't do that. Be on your A game right now. Be on your best karmic game right now. It's very, very important. And Lynx says, keeper of secrets. Time to take out from your usual world and be the observer. Nothing can deceive you when you trust your knowing. You see others' secrets and keep them sacred. In silence and solitude, you will find your strength. And Lynx card is all about solitude. It's all about the very solitary creatures, lynx. They're very happy being alone. So get in the habit of having isolation for yourself, at least for 2-3 hours every day, where you're just doing nothing. Where you're just sitting with yourself, sitting with your thoughts, your feelings, whatever. Just be with yourself. It'll give you a more zoomed out point of view than you already have. So if you need certain answers, don't talk to people. Please don't call 3 of your friends or 2 of your friends. Just sit by yourself. Journal. People want to know more. There's a lot of curiosity around you because you're very larger than life, and people cannot connect the dots with you. I think there's a lot of mystery which makes you really, really hot, pile number 3. Like, there's all this fan fiction about you. Yeah. Anything else? That's all I have for pile number 3. Again, it's a general reading, so please take out resonates, leave the rest. And if you like my style of reading, please like this video, share, subscribe, comment. And if you want to learn witchcraft from me, you can send me an email. The course starts 27th of June. And you can do the same if you want a personal reading from me. And I will see you guys in your next reading. Thank you.